Oh, it's overwhelming. It's crazy how every week there's something new, but it's also very exciting. This is just the beginning of an amazing journey on how we will be creating different chatbots. So it's very important to define your scope and then just narrow it.
It's a sure a good way to get yourself on the bandwagon
No.
to make sure that you're not falling behind.
For example, a set of your bedroom, then you can just put it together with the help of an AI, and they can tell you exactly what this piece is for, and you can build it even easier, right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Umer Khan. We have today Ricardo Altamirano. He is a specialist in artificial intelligence solutions and a designer of conversational experiences with AI. And specifically, he is intricately involved in developing chatbots. Ricardo, how are you doing today?
Great, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. So it's an exciting time and experience that we are all going through. And when I got in touch with you, I realized that, okay, this is the person and the man who is help reshape the economy in a way, because you are introducing chatbots and helping people, websites, startups get their chatbots on their websites. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, we help them get into the websites. We help them have presence in WhatsApp, in any type of messaging tool that they want, create a conversational experience.
All right. So what uptake? I'm just going to jump right into it. Since myself, I'm bit in AI myself, a healthcare, and developing different types of AI healthcare and non-healthcare products. However, chatbots is the front-facing experience that anybody has when they land on a website, and it is huge for people engagement and customer engagement and lead generation. What have you seen the biggest change in the last year or so for your industry?
I think that the biggest change is that people actually have find the power of chatbots. Before the rise of LLMs, people were thinking that chatbots could just be this option type of experiences, which is kind of an IVR from that we've all have experience with banks, for example, right? And that part of the ecosystem wasn't that great. And when the LLMs just started coming out, and mainly with ChatGPT, other LLMs that have uh, since then keep rising, people knew that this could be a game-changing experience. You can actually interact with your users. You can get some feedback from your users. You can get the information faster, easier for them. So, for example, if you want to know exactly what you want to know, what the pricing of the product is, sorry, what the pricing of the product is, or whatever, you can just text with it. You can just chat within the chatbot. So it's just amazing, and it can give you an infinite type of options. We've seen a lot of companies actually using it for example, for recruiting. That helps a lot, of course, on hospitals for patient experience, and you can use it for almost anything. So this is just the beginning of an amazing journey on how we will be creating different chatbots.
No, you mentioned it can be used for anything. And just to share that, I worked on a project that, of course, one, it's a little older, but you are asking the patient questions and getting all the signs and symptoms that the patient is able to describe. The chatbot is fairly efficient in putting that together for the clinician to take the next step and look at it. And on top of that, we worked on a project that during a colonoscopy, that is when doctors go in and have a look at your colon, your large intestine, and we were helping out in report generation for that. And we had it set up that the gastroenterologist is actually talking, communicating in a chatbot like fashion if they need to edit the AI report that is being generated. So you're saying it is limitless, and there are going to be so many possibilities with this. So how did you
Yeah.
actually get into this? And I want to actually, before I jump into that, share some of your experiences that you've had with people and what type of different projects that you have been jumping on and helping people out.
Well, I think that the main, and that's part of the story of how I got into chatbots. The main implementation that we have is mainly for recruiting. So, for example, what happened is that years ago we tried to create a Tinder type of app for finding jobs. And so the idea was to connect waiters, cooks, hostess, all the operational workers on restaurants and hotels, of course, with employers. And that became a very hard job to do because people had more questions on what the job was like. So for example, if I posted a job offering on a website or on our app, people just saw it find it like, okay, I'm very interested, but they have more questions uh, on that. So they wanted to know what the perfect the salary is, or what happens if they cannot go into a specific shift of the job. So that there was a lot of questions. So we have the support channel on WhatsApp, and all our traffic, instead of being on the app, it was on the channel on WhatsApp. So we went crazy with that, and we started just talking with the users on WhatsApp. And because that was a very hard issue to actually attend, we decided to implement chatbots. So we created our first chatbot for recruiting on that channel, and we started developing chatbots for companies on that. So I think that was one of the main implementations that we've experienced. But of course, we have done chatbots for patients on hospitals or different industries.
No, that's a great the example that you mentioned. So basically, what you're trying to do is improve the efficiency and the communication that happens in real life, and that needs to happen. And you basically turn that into a chat box experience back and forth, good for getting information, good for billing purposes, good for pricing, anything you name it. This can be done. The question that comes up, and we always, whenever we're talking with people as well, is that okay? How are you going to train the chatbots? Some chatbots don't need training, minimal, but a lot of chatbots have training. How would you approach this if it's a brand new individual coming and talking to you about this? What type of information would you need from them to say, okay, to make this chatbot successful and valid and accurate? That's the thing that you look at when you're developing chatbots or anything related to AI.
Yeah,
What do you
definitely.
need? What do you need?
The first thing you need to do is to define your scope. What happens that I've seen of a lot of people that wants to implement chatbots is that they just don't define the scope. They just go with it, and they are like, I want to create a chat GPT for my company. And you're like, it's not that easy, and it's not like you can just create a chatbot where this AI can just start talking with the user, and it doesn't matter where they go. So it's very important to define your scope and then just narrow it. So that's one of the most important things that you have to start doing with AI, is to narrow it on what are the answers that the chatbot can actually implement and can actually tell the user. So when you actually define your scope, that's when you can get the data that you actually need. There are a lot of different AI tools and a lot of training. It can be from, for example, from a PDF. So what we do is we get the PDF of the company. Like say, let's just have this part of the PDF, and then we use a natural language processing. So the chatbot can actually talk with that information, with the data. If you want your actual chatbot to be very conversational, then what we do is we need the data of the company, like all the facts, all the different options that the company actually offers, all the offerings from it, the pricings, everything that your company can actually do, have it ready with data, and then the chatbot can actually start make a conversation with the user. But it's very important to just narrow your scope, define your scope, and with that in mind, start doing it. Why is that
Excellent.
also very important? Oh, sorry.
No, please. Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, it's very important because it what also happens is there are some times that you need AI, but there's a lot of times in a chatbot where you don't need AI. So if you just want the answer to be yes or no, you don't need AI to do that. So you just have to start taking parts of your process, like little actions, and decide which action has AI, and which actions just have a yes or no or boolean type of answer.
No, precisely. And it all depends on what the project is. As you mentioned, it all depends on what the scope is. What is your conclusion, or what you actually want to derive from this feature or function? Do you want to get a lead? Do you want to qualify a lead? Do you want to put together a person's symptoms? Do you want to get feedback for your services? Whatever it is. Or you want to detect something, for example, in healthcare. And what we've sort of seen is depends on who is talking to you. A lot of times, if you do need data to train the AI, train the chat box, data and how good the data is, that seems to be a prime concern when we're looking at things.
Yeah.
And sometimes they may not have internal data. Sometimes they may have external data. If they have external data that may not fully represent what they want to do with their own company, may not 100% be in line with that. Sometimes you need to tweak that. Sometimes we need to see, okay, how can we look at your personal situation and try to come to a conclusion? Okay, this is the best way forward to get your chatbot to do the thing that you wanted to do for yourself. What do you think about this?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also that what we've seen, it's very interesting, is that usually the data that you collect, it depends on or what you want to do with your chatbot. Do you want your chatbot just to have a conversation with the user, or do you want your chatbot to actually take decisions or make decisions for your user? So for example, it's very different for a recruiting chatbot to just go like this, do you have this experience, yes or no, and try to converse on that part of on that part of the issue, like what's experience for this position, etc. Or based on the questions and based on the answers of the users, you have to train it and see if the user is actually going on the perfect job position or no. But the chatbot has to make the decision based on the answers and try to take a lot different parts of the answers and actually make the decision. So that's very interesting what you're saying, because it depends on whether you want your chatbot to make a decision or just to follow a set of rules, and that's also part of the narrowing of the project.
Yeah. So just to step back on this a little bit, how what type of change in people's perception have you noticed yourself over the last year and a half since ChatGPT has been around, when people have really experienced the power of AI and the conversation that the AI can actually handle? Have you seen a shift in the mindset of people when they're coming to you?
Yes, definitely. It depends on whether the person has been in the AI before. Because if they have talked with, if they have studied AI for a while, they know that this is not something completely new. Transformers and NLP has been in the game for a while. But what ChatGPT did is amazing, because it's a very natural way to talk with an AI. So the companies that we've talked to, they actually start seeing that they can do almost anything with it. So they are seeing all the benefits that it can bring to their companies, and they are seeing different implementations. So there are companies that actually want to use it for real estate. There are companies that want to use it for patient experience, as we talk with hospitals. There are companies that want to use it for their employees to actually ask for vacations or know what are the different things that they can do. So companies are seeing that the entire process and the entire ecosystem of what they can do. A lot of options they can create, and once ChatGPT has also done with introducing images and introducing audio and introducing all other things to make it more uh, to make it better and greater with a lot of things. That's when also the companies are saying like, okay, we can also do this for a lot of things on our companies. So for example, if you want to just get if you buy, for example, a set of your bedroom, then you can just put it together with the help of an AI, and they can tell you exactly what this piece is for, and you can build it even easier, right?
Yeah, definitely. And you're mentioning that so many different use cases that can happen. And you mentioned employees. And we ran into a situation where, well, not in a situation, that was a project that the company wanted their onboarding process to be fully automated. And normally they would have to hire staff. Now we're back from COVID, and they were looking to get staff, people back into the office, but there were a lot of people who were going to be remote because that's how the world is right now. And largely the remote part, we tested it out that they were doing we were doing it in a way that is managed 99% through natural language processing and chatbots and engagement as such. I want you to, for the audience, that how big this is and how they could think about this. Give a few examples of people that you work with, so that it opens up for them that yes, how many options there are or how many aspects they can go into, and think about themselves whether they would need a certain type of a product or a chatbot that could help out with their streamline their processes or scale their business to the next level.
Oh, that's a very good question. So to let me get this. There are companies that want to implement chatbots for reducing costs, but there are also companies that want to make it more productive for their employees, for their and they can actually upscale their process. So, sorry if I keep going into the recruiting, but that's more that's my main experience on the chatbot side. So, for example, there are companies that say like, okay, I cannot keep on going with with my recruiting process with my current team. So I'm gonna take this with AI. I'm gonna substitute my some of my people with AI because that's some of the things that companies actually see that it can also be really good to substitute one position, mainly junior positions, with AI. But also it helps a lot of on the process when you want to upscale your process. So, for example, we've worked with a large restaurant chain, and this large restaurant has over 100 different restaurants. And before we started doing AI with them for recruiting, they had just three different recruiters for this process. This was a crazy way to actually recruit a lot of cooks, a lot of waiters, and that. So once you implement AI, instead of reducing the number of positions that they have in recruiting, they had more positions. They had to hire more recruiters because they needed more people to actually interview all the persons that were applying to the jobs.
So
So
basically, they were getting more leads in, they were getting more business,
exactly,
and AI basically
exactly,
did that for them. They were thinking that okay, they may replace a few people, but people who are implementing this, early on in this AI boom, the revolution that we are seeing, those who jumped on the wagon are jumping on the wagon earlier and quicker. They're seeing results.
exactly. That's it. So that's amazing because you're actually getting more business with the AI. You're able to process more data, and you're able to upscale your business faster than other companies.
Yeah. So one thought that comes in, and a lot of people have this concern, especially in healthcare, when I'm dealing with this and looking at different projects and products that I do believe will be shaping the future of healthcare, is data, and the data on the cloud, data locally. Um, from your standpoint, and from my standpoint, we have to be very, very particular about the fact that a lot of healthcare institutions are looking to have their data stored locally, and instead of being any aspect of the cloud. Have you seen this in what you're doing? Have you had need to set up local servers or basically on local computers?
Currently, no, but there's a lot of the good thing about this is for us is most of the chatbots that we implement because they work with either within their website or with WhatsApp. Um, Usually, it's a new process, and The bad thing is that they don't have a lot of data. They don't have a lot of data for this process. The good thing is that we are able to build it on the cloud. So that's part of the good thing or the bad thing, that we start a lot of times with no data at all, or a little data for the training, and then we can upscale it. There are companies that actually are afraid, or a little timorous on where to implement, where to store the data. But most of the companies that we work with is they don't have any issues with that.
Okay, great. So, I mean, from the healthcare standpoint, a lot of people are very particular about what's going to be happening. If they're bigger companies, bigger EMRs, for example, they may be okay. They understand the process because they have been operating on the cloud. Of course, a lot of their support staff, everybody can manage things on the ground. However, with healthcare, it gets to be a little particular with all the HIPAA requirements, and people are 100% not clear on how this is going to be actually playing out, and with the legislation coming through, and what's going to happen down the line. So they're a bit more particular. But therefore, there's all of these comes with solutions, and that's not a problem. However, um, is there a problem that you've seen with your people that you work with, that there's a potential for data leaks, and they're just not they're asking you endlessly about those very important questions? Have you had issues where they're awfully concerned that, okay, how are we going to handle any breach? Anybody else is going to be having access to our trained chatbots? Have you experienced anything like this?
Not currently. The thing that has happened is people trying to hack the chatbot, right? Just different prompts for it to say things that is not trained, or that is not the goal for your chatbot to do. That's our main issue. But the thing is that once that's why I said at the beginning that it was very important to narrow your project, because once you narrow your project, it's very difficult for it to have data leaks. Why? Because it only answers and it only goes to the data and the information that it's actually gonna that wants to actually deliver. So let me give you for example an example that we have in a hospital. We have a chatbot for patient experience with hospital in Mexico City, and there was one person that actually came into the hospital and said like, okay, you told me that this was the price for the doctor consultation, so why are you charging me more of that? You told me through the chatbot that is what, $700 for the, sorry, 700 pesos, that is around $20 for the consultation. So what do you mean about this? Why are you charging me more? Because in the chat it says this and this and this. And that was very important for us, because we said like, okay, that part of the data the chatbot couldn't be able to access to that information. If the chatbot was able to access that part of the pricing of the consultation, or the prices of different things, it can also get access to other parts of the ecosystem of data, and we don't want that, because we don't want other patients to start asking questions about other patients or other data of someone, and everything. So it was very important. The good thing is that we at the beginning narrowed everything. So we started digging up, and we saw that it wasn't actually the chatbot that went into the pricing, but the person was actually taking a screenshot, then went to Photoshop. They changed everything. They changed pricings. They changed the phrasing and that, and they went to the front office, and they said like, okay, hey, here's the pricing of the chatbot and everything. But we saw that it was a Photoshop. It wasn't part of the. It wasn't a leak of data. So that's why it's very, very, very important to just narrow everything at the beginning of the project. Because if you do that, then you don't have these data leaks.
Uh,
So
that's interesting to
that's
know.
interesting.
Somebody was trying to. That's kind of fraud. That's
Yeah.
straight fraud, and
Okay.
somebody is trying to manipulate. And of course, they probably were if they were not aware of it. That's surprising. That the chatbot is able to maintain all of these histories, and you can demonstrate, okay, you are photoshopping and you're changing the facts that actually happened, and that's interesting to note. But I probably, what happened with that? How did you How do you handle that from a legalistic standpoint? Just to get into a little bit on this, because a lot of people will be interested to know how you actually ended up handling this situation.
What we did is we took the entire process. We saw the entire conversation of the user. We have the logs of every conversation that you can experience. So we had to go back to the conversation. We had to check with the user what they said, what the real answer of the chatbot was. So we backlog everything. We saw everything that happened, and we told the user, okay, but you're saying that this is what the chatbot said, but we have this part of the conversation. We know what your conversation with the chatbot was. So why are you doing this? So actually, that the person just back back down and said like, okay, well, whatever. If you want, I'll pay this. And that, but during that time, our client was very scared and was quite mad with us because he the client said like, okay, you gave the different price to the user, and you shouldn't have done that. So we were very timorous on that, and but hopefully everything came down correctly. But we had to just go back to the conversation and have the, the screenshots on everything that happened with it.
No, exactly. So initially, the client was a little apprehensive because
Yeah.
that's what they got. They got a complaint from a customer, and then you had all the evidence. And it's not like you had a call center where maybe the call was not recorded. Usually, call centers do look to record phone calls. And it's not that the call center individual said one thing and the customer, the patient, or whoever it is saying something else, and then there's a problem. Right now, here, this is all recorded. It's all evidence, and
Yeah.
it's very difficult to skew this, or it's very difficult to manipulate what actually happened. And this just goes to show that technology is advancing, and we will be facing these type of issues. And with every technological advance and these issues that come up, there may be the principles will be the same. You're able to validate, you're able to verify, and you're able to communicate back, and you have all the proof. In a way, this is highly secure in a way.
Yep.
And one thing you mentioned about that, okay, this you initially, and this is what I of course also suggest all startups or anyone getting into jumping into AI or building a chatbot is go very, very niche, go very, very particular, so you get the process going,
Yes.
and solidify that one process. And even if the customer has some other questions that are not related to the training of the chatbot already, for example, okay, they want to speak to somebody else, they have some other concern, down the line, after you validate your initial launch, you are able to add these additional components that will help streamline all of your communication issues or initial data gathering issues that may be relevant to what you're looking to do. So numerous benefits, numerous aspects of efficiency and enhancing and improving your workflows. That is all possible. And again, as you mentioned, that the quicker you jump into this type of thing and see what your business can actually, how your business can actually benefit from this, or even test it out, I think it's a sure a good way to get yourself on the bandwagon
No.
to make sure that you're not falling behind. And in terms of falling behind, the changes and the pace at which these updates and changes are happening is so quick. What are you seeing, and how are you trying to keep yourself updated or your team updated on all that is happening? I'm thinking for the next year or so, this is the phase where people are being introduced to chatbots and AI, but
Yeah.
it's changing every day, every week. How are you staying up to date?
Oh, it's overwhelming. It's crazy how every week there's something new, but it's also very exciting because every time that there's a new model that you can implement, you can just go and try to see what are the benefits of it. So what we're doing currently is just trying to integrate almost every LLM that there's out there. We're building a chatbot builder, so actually other people can start building chatbots on our tool, um, and we're making it easier for anyone to just get into the LLMs, to integrate LLMs, because it can be overwhelming just to try to navigate the ecosystem. it depends on what you want to do, which type of LLM you want to implement, and it also depends on what's the niche that you're getting into, what type of chatbot you want to actually create. So it's crazy, but it's also very exciting with it, and you have to be all the time reading the papers and seeing what other people are trying to do. So, for example, when we're talking about data leaks and all these security issues that could come from chatbots. We've seen what ChatGPT or with different prompts can actually do, and that's why when you have a very open chatbot, it can give you a lot of things. So it's very important for the companies the startups that want to implement the chatbot to just actually see what they want to do, go niche, and as you said, just go from small parts of the process and then keep on adding on it. But first, just have to automate the first part of the process. Be very careful with your wording. Of That's very important because when you give also the chatbot the option to just answer anything, the bad thing is that the wording cannot usually is not the same that you want your chatbot for your company. Your company has their own way to talk, so you also have to train that to your chatbot. So it's very interesting, and our team usually gets overwhelmed with all the new tools that there are, and the implementations with, of course, image recognition and voice, everything.
Absolutely, and it's overwhelming in a way, and it's not possible for a single person or even a group of people, and you have to try to have a way to tease out, and which is also very difficult to do, which is going to be useful, which is not going to be useful, and which tool you should test out, which tool you should potentially leave out. And it's very difficult to come to a conclusion. Okay, about out of these 100 tools that people are using, how do we focus on it? I think the way to look at it is from the what people are doing, what people are applying, and what has actual real world implications, and focus on just those things for now, and of course keep on being in the know about whatever is coming out there.
Yeah,
Very, very important. One aspect that people always consider, especially when you are in a more interactive type of situation, for example, in a hospital, perhaps, and any chat bot that needs to converse with that type of a scenario needs to be effective in that type of a scenario, or any customer service related chatbot, for that example. Um, how are you managing the role of empathy and dealing with the individual when you're having those conversations with the AI chatbot? And that's sometimes difficult to tweak. But I'll have your take on it. How is the chatbot dealing with empathy when dealing with these individuals? Of course, it does depend on what is the basic training and the purpose of the chatbot.
yeah, that's a very good question. That's very hard to actually implement. Um, in hospitals and in patient experience, that's a very different world because you're dealing with health, where you're dealing with the health of the people. So that's very hard to actually to actually be able to empathize through a chatbot. You have to be very narrow with that part of the process. Currently, we haven't figured empathy through the chatbot of for a hospital. So, for example, when a patient just asks something about several symptoms, or they want to know, or they feel bad, or they feel like, or sometimes their mother or their father is sick, or their daughter is sick. Of course, that if you want the chat to empathize with the user, that doesn't feel human, and you can mess up a lot of things with that. So what we've done is, like, this is just a robot, and we're just answering this type of questions. If you want to make a consultation, please say that you want to make a consultation. We have these doctors, and that's it. We don't try to empathize with the user because it's very hard. You deal with a lot of things that can get really wrong with that. I know that some companies have done it, and they actually have done pretty well, but we haven't now go into that space. On the side of or recruiting, for example, that's also part of you have to be to empathize with the user, because there's a lot of candidates that don't pass through the different stages or for the recruiting process. So when they don't have the profile that you're looking for in the company for the position, you have to tell them, like, thank them for their time and that. So you have to be very careful with the wording. So what we do is we narrow the answers of the chatbot with a specific wording for the company that actually communicates what the company wants to say, and that way we try to empathize a little bit. And we have these little words that we call them connectors, that within the chatbot we always implement, like, I don't know, for example, amazing, great, something like that, they feel like it's not just something that the chatbot starts answering, because it's very hard also to implement a chatbot. For example, in a website, it's quite easier because you can actually make a real conversation. But within WhatsApp or within other messaging tools, you're expecting the exact answer with the message. So when they send a message, the chatbot answers to that message. The bad thing about that is the message that the user is sending. Usually, as you know, we as people, we don't just text one message and then expect one answer. We text that message, but that message is divided in different parts. So you one message, another message, and then the chatbot has to process all the data and then answer on that. And to be empathetic on that part of the process is very difficult. So that's why we implement these little wordings, these little words, where they just connect the different conversation, and then when we get all the intent of the user, then we can actually give the real answer that they are expecting for.
No, absolutely. Because humans, when they are communicating, they are seeing a lot of things. Somebody's in person, that you may see the person's expression, you may see the person's mannerisms. A
Yeah.
chatbot, for example, does not necessarily see that. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm seeing this as well, as you're mentioning that you've seen a few individuals, few possibly companies work on this. Um, uh, Facial recognition, facial impression monitoring, that is going to be coming in, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be coming in fairly soon. But at the same time, this empathy and being able to handle them multiple people, for example, at the same time, and you're just not chatting to one individual. Right now, in many sense, it's not that clear of how AI and chatbot will be doing this efficiently without making a few errors. And that may look fairly interesting if you're saying great or awesome when there's something that's not, not that great or awesome in reality, and may not be, the most pleasant thing that the person is talking about. So definitely this is going to be a process, and I'm sure this will be improving.
Yeah.
Having said this, so all of this comes with a lot of ethical considerations, and that's why it's so essential to go very minute, as you mentioned it, go on a single line, moving forward. That if the company is going to this, they go in a single direction to begin with, and then they see what issues they're coming to, and they will see, oh, these are ethical issues that are coming into the mix. Okay, these are emotional considerations that are coming into the mix, and how should we look to handle this? So that's why you have to take it in a stepwise approach, just like a startup. You don't want your
Yeah.
minimal viable product to be able to handle so many things, and at the end, it actually doesn't do what you actually wanted it to do. And the biggest problem with AI right now is that you want it to be accurate when it is actually in front of the public or in front of the customer. And you make a couple of mistakes, especially in the areas such as banking or healthcare, for example. That could spread like wildfire and bring a bad name to whatever you had been trying to do. But again, yeah, following this very methodologically and make sure things are on the right track is great. So this is the new thing that is here, and this is just like websites. People are not advertising on newspapers as much, and they had to go on websites, and now this is the new frontier. What do you see this going moving forward to in the next year or so?
um, it's gonna be like the new. I know that they've said this, but it can actually, I actually believe this. This is going to be like the new internet. We're thinking that what we're seeing is that almost everyone, or in a few years, in the next 5 years, almost every company, every startup has to have a chatbot, has to have AI implemented into their ecosystem. It doesn't matter if you want to implement a chatbot or not. You'll have to implement AI. If you don't have AI in your startup, in your company, then you're completely out of the question of the competition. You're out of the market. You cannot you won't be able to do almost anything, because companies that actually implement AI will be way ahead of anyone. Um, this is gonna be like when companies started having websites. The company that didn't have a website or didn't have online presence, they started falling behind a lot, right? But that happened on a 10-year span or 15-year span. This will happen in just 5 years or less. What we're seeing is that this is crazy. So, for example, there's a lot of companies that, a lot of marketing companies that are actually seeing that what they can do with it, because suddenly there's just a kid with 16, 17, 18 years old in their garage, just prompting ChatGPT or prompting DALL-E or prompting different options like Canva, for example, that has just implemented AI into their system. And they can create almost anything: logos, they can create websites, they can create interactions, they can create videos. So in just a few minutes, in just a few seconds, the copies that they can create through AI are amazing. There's sometimes even much better than the copies that a junior or a medium's management team can actually implement. So if you don't do the if you don't have AI implemented in your startup, then you're gonna be falling behind a lot. And that's also part of the chatbots. If you don't have a chatbot on your website within the next 3 years at the most, I believe that that will happen in 2 years, but let's say 3 to 5 years. If you don't have a chatbot implemented into your website, or you don't have presence in different messaging tools like Google Business Messages or WhatsApp or even SMS, then you'll be out of the competition. Other companies will be better. For example, we just launched last week a chatbot with a client for confirmation for events, RSVPs. So before, they were using email, and their usually the response rate through the email for the RSVPs was around 40%, sometimes even 20 to 30%. It was very low response for the RSVPs. Once we implemented through a chatbot within WhatsApp, for example, we went all the way to 87%. And so it was very interesting to see how how well they were implementing this. And we were gathering the data for the attendee of the event. We were gathering their dietary the restrictions. So it was much better than the experience that we have with the email, and the implementation was in just a few minutes to just do it. So it's going to be a game changing idea, AI and chatbots for companies.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned about people, not getting confirmations from their emails, and a lot of people have been doing this on text as well. And now the next step is having a chatbot sort of collaborating, coordinating, rescheduling, perhaps if people are not able to show up for an appointment. And it's not just a hey, you're coming to the appointment, reply yes or no. And if it's a no, what's going to happen, what's the steps down the line, how you can navigate the person to make the right decision, or get them back into the flow of things and schedule another appointment perhaps. And you also mentioned that people who are not going to be implementing these techniques in various forms, they will see the difference. Their competitors will be having profit loss statements, bank balances much bigger, much more audience that they're gathering, much more customer flow that they're having, much more foot traffic that they're having, compared to the people who are not going to be implementing these tools. And this gonna be separating the people who are going to be succeeding in the next decade or so from those who are not. It's amazing. And if you're a freelancer, for example, and you're scared about this, just keep this in mind, that if you are able to use Canva or somebody or a program with AI integration, and you know these tools, you can develop logos or write copies for
Yeah.
10 times the people that you used to do 1 year back, if you keep yourself updated on these things. Similar is the case with any agency or any hospital system, or any banking system looking to get clients or looking to get customers, or anybody, or financial planners, financial advisors who are looking to get people on board for their services. And this is the way it's going to be. It's going to be an extension of yourself, extension of your business. Just like you maybe having sales rep, or you're doing running Google ads or Facebook ads. If you This is going to be part and parcel of what you will need to be doing to have a competitive edge from other people.
Yeah,
All of
definitely.
these successes, all of these um, new aspects that are coming into the mix. But what are the hurdles that you have faced in getting this going, or what is the biggest hurdle that you yourself have faced in this process for this last year and a half, possibly?
Um, so for example, before I have to divide things between before the LLM, the rise of LLMs and like ChatGPT, and after ChatGPT. Um, Before, what happened with the LLMs, with GPT, with Bard, with the Palm, with all this, with Lambda, what happened is usually companies, they didn't quite actually get it. So it was very difficult. It was very hard to train their models. It was very hard to actually implement a chatbot because they didn't get it. They didn't understand what was what was happening with the, or what are the good things about implementing a chatbot. So talking with those companies, with those startups, was very hard to just get into the ecosystem, get a chatbot going, um, process the data, know where the data is, everything that was very, very hard for that. And that part of the process for us was very difficult because we had to train the user. We had to tell them what a chatbot is. We had to. They didn't even know what a chatbot was before that. But after ChatGPT in November last year, um, everything changed. And instead of being able to, instead of telling the user what a chatbot is, now we have to tell them what are the benefits, but what are the risks of implementing a chatbot and what type of chatbot they need. So some of the main issues that we've experienced within the last year is how to actually implement a chatbot, uh, how to narrow, of course, our client, because they usually go like, I want to do everything, and I want to our chatbot to just talk with the user, and it's going to be very awesome, and it's going to be great. For example, we had a company, a startup that we worked at the beginning of the year, that they just said like, oh, this is going to be amazing. We just want a chat GPT for our company. And we started having a lot of issues with the client because they didn't actually get it, that they need more data. They just had like an idea. They didn't have an implementation of their company yet. They haven't even gathered information of their users. Nothing. So that was very hard for us to actually to be able to implement a chatbot when the company doesn't know what they want to do, or they just have an idea. So they just see ChatGPT and they say it like, it's awesome, it's easy, it's just like a Google type of thing where you just go, just type, and then you just have a conversation with the AI. And I want that for my company. So can you have that maybe tomorrow? Or should I give you a week? And you're like, no, that's not how it works. So that's really hard to implement a chatbot when they see this amazing technology that has been implemented with other big tech companies.
Absolutely. And what we are seeing right now, as definitely what you just described so eloquently, is the customer or the client learning curve and learning process that is taking shape. And similarly, this happened around 5 years back when I got into telemedicine initially. um, Doctors, healthcare CEOs, patients were really not on board on talking to a doctor on the phone. And now it's okay if you're not doing it, if a clinic is not doing it, if a hospital system is not doing it, that seems strange. And everybody is trying to get the benefit of the use cases for telemedicine and that technology. Similarly, slowly and steadily, people are coming in. They see the potential. They see, oh my God, I want it to be Chat GPT, and I wanted to communicate with people as such. But there is a process to get your your data, your science, the thing that you want implemented and in a proper manner that actually is useful. And that, I think, is part of the process, and I'm okay with that. And it's not a big deal, and that's how you will find people who are techies. They may know a bit more, and then there will be people and businesses who have no idea how to get this going and what the implications are. So it's part of the process to act as a mentor in a way, and assist them in making the best decision for their own business, for their own company, for their own startup. And I think that's part of the process. And what you just described is going to take about 1 or 2 years, and then everybody will have a bit of a stronger hold on, okay, what they can achieve. And they will already know, okay, I need to provide this, I need to have the scope ready, I need to have my data ready. And
Yep.
it's just part of the process.
Yeah, and
Are
all
you
the
are you
startup
seeing a change
companies.
in this? People are coming in, and yeah, they have an idea now more than what they had, let's say, a year from now.
Yeah, totally. What happened a year when ChatGPT just launched and it was this big success, to now that everything has become, their users are actually understanding. I think that the some of the companies that wanted to implement a chatbot or AI at the beginning of the rise of LLMs all the way to today, there's a big difference. Before it was like, I want to just have ChatGPT. I want just to have a big AI for my company that does everything. And now they actually get like, okay, I want to use AI for this part of the process. So what if I just give you a PDF of my company? And once I start talking with my user, for example, they have like this copilot type of AI for conversational, for conversation, sorry. So they started talking there's a person, there's a person behind the screen talking with the user. They're chatting, and once there's something that they want to, like, for example, the user wants to know a little bit more about some specific product, then they go into the chat, they into the AI system, they go to the PDF, and every type of information that the user wants to know now is the AI that answers from the PDF, because we as humans cannot have all the information for everything. So once you have like 100 type of products, there's, of course, there's some people that are very good with memory, and they can actually know everything about 100 different products. But once you have 10,000 products or 100,000 products with different specifications for each of them, if you have a PDF or a document where you have the data of that product, then the chatbot can actually go to the PDF, answer that, and give that data, that information to the user. So it's easier to just have a conversation with the user, a person and a user, and then just give the control for a little bit, for a little while, to the chatbot, and then continue the conversation as a person. So companies are actually seeing that they can do this type of things, this type of co-piloting in conversations or in different things, and just implement chatbots or AIs in a specific part of the process, not just go crazy and go like, I want everything to be automated and I don't want to do anything, and I want my hospital to be just run by robots, right? They actually know that this is more like a co-pilot. As I tell some of my clients, it's like when Tesla came into to the market, it's not just like go autopilot and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sleep on it, and it will take to the destination, no, to where we
No,
point. So
absolutely.
that is different.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it's a stepwise process, like with anything else. And there are going to be numerous improvements in the coming months and years. And as you mentioned, so it's a co-pilot. In a way, it's a co-pilot, and it will be just like an employee who's going to be helping you out in numerous things. And as you mentioned, there's going to be a customer-facing roles and internal roles, as such as in the co-pilot example that you provided. And down the line is going to be that it may be integrated with live information and feed coming in, and not just on historical data, and something that you need to feed it on a day-to-day basis perhaps. But there are going to be integrations where the way the company collects and analyzes data, or brings in their reports or informations, um, it will have implications of being effective on a much more live and current situation manner. So that's of course very exciting. But of course, there are going to be limitations, and you, like with everything else, if there are limitations of certain employees, you work with those limitations, and then you see how to improve upon that. And you will never get anything perfect. You may never get anything 100%, but these are all tools that you are looking to work on. Ricardo, this was an excellent session. And I think I learned a lot, and I believe the viewers will definitely be benefiting from this and learning a lot how to implement chatbots, AI integrations, and how this could be helping out their customers improve their bottom line. And if people don't get on board with this, you're seeing this. Everybody is seeing the sort of miracle LLMs have, and so this is, if you implement this not just for entertainment purposes for your own self and generate some content or social media posts, but has significant utility for any business for that matter. Ricardo, are
Yeah,
you okay with a few rapid fire questions?
let's go.
All right, excellent. So, how much are you expected to make in 2023 with all this chatbot business?
On revenue basis,
Yes, if you're okay in
very
sharing.
good. I guess it will be between the 10 to 15 M.
Couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, to between 10 to 15 million.
Okay. Okay. Next question. What is the basic problem that you are solving here for your clients?
Being able to talk with your users, being able to have presence in every messaging tools, and give the option for the user to actually talk to the company and have a great conversation with them.
All right. What would you be doing in a different life if you were not an AI chatbox company?
Tennis player.
Okay. What is the most helpful quote or phrase that you want to share with the audience?
Oh, that's interesting. Um, Life is short. I think that's it. Like, life is short, just go with it, and try to make the most of your life every time.
Great. Okay. What is one book that you would recommend to people, and why?
Mm, I'm gonna say two books. Sorry, that is not just one, but I love Gabriel Garcia Marquez, a Colombian writer. So, Cien Años de Soledad. It's in Spanish, but there's also the translation to English. That's one of the best books ever written. So, one of them, and the other one that I love and has
What was this
changed a lot
on?
of
What was
things.
the topic? What was the topic again?
It's the author is called Gabriel Garcia Marquez. The book is called Cien Años de Soledad, or 100 Years of Solitude, I guess is the
Uh-huh.
name of
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
English. And it's amazing book. It has a lot of things going on within it, and it's one of the best books ever written, for me, I guess. And and the other one will be in the startup ecosystem, Blitzscaling. It has changed a lot of things that I've thought about startups, a lot of things that you can see, and it makes a lot of sense of now in the era of LLMs, in the era of AI. Blitzscaling is one of the best books for startups in this era.
Excellent. All right, Ricardo. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm pretty sure that the audience definitely benefited, and this gives them a food for thought about how they can think about their own business or startup with regards to AI-based chatbots. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Umer Khan. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. All right.
I appreciate you as a valuable viewer, and thanks for watching till the very end. If you liked this, check out this podcast. I know you will love it. You can also check for more interesting links in the description. I'm Dr. Umer Khan. Looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you.